Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 20th, 2018. The results of Jack's private paternity test are in and the news is not good. It's not good at all. It took him nearly an entire episode to even work up the courage to open up the envelope. And I'm sure it's because he doesn't want to have his worst fears confirmed. That's exactly what happened though, and I was heartbroken for him. These tests prove that he is not a step-sibling match with Billy. And of course, the previous test that we had showed that he is not a full sibling match with Tracy. So all of this is adding up to Jack's realization that everything Gina said in her movie was right. It's all true. He is not John Abbott's son, and he is confounded by this news. It is working and to pull apart the very fabric of his being. I'm sure in some ways it's oddly almost making sense to him in a way that he never felt he was able to live up to John Abbott, and maybe the reason is because he wasn't his biological son, and yet at the same time he wanted so badly to have that connection. He was groomed to be this great man, to follow in the footsteps of his great father, and this test has just called into question everything that he is. He has felt like a failure at every step along the way, and now here is a death blow to his character. It also means, by the way, the fact that these test results show him as not an Abbott, it means that he's no longer qualified to run the company. He's ousted himself as CEO of Jabot by putting in that blood Abbott clause. He's done it to himself, knowing that he put that clause into place to protect him and in a way bolster his Abbott pride, and that is the very move that also is wiping him out of the company. He said something to the effect of, it's almost funny, isn't it? I mean, Peter Bergman's performance throughout this week has been phenomenal, no less than phenomenal. The way he inflects his voice to even make it crack and go up an octave at certain points when he's particularly choked up. It's just so clear and understandable to me what this has done to the fundamentals of Jack's character. I think in a lot of ways, Jack is even questioning what place does he have in the family? What place does he have in the company? What place does he even have in Genoa City? Why does he even need to stick around town? So he tries to go find refuge at the Abbott family cabin, thinking maybe that will give him some answers, but that place is just filled with more family memories, and some of them are very good, yet some of them are very dark. I really liked that Jack mentioned the fact that Billy and Phyllis had their affair there, so that's something that he has in the back of his mind, and he begins to wonder if maybe his mother brought some of her lovers there. Was she having affairs on my father in this very place that I viewed as sacred, that I viewed as a touchstone? Oh, in Jack's mind, at this point in time, everything is a lie. Everything that he thought was real and true and good and the pride of the Abbott family, all of it is just a lie. And it was so very well visually represented by Y&R when Jack takes the family photo album and he tosses it into the fireplace, and we see this great shot of the flames engulfing the Abbott family memories. And I like that tie-in also with Dina's Alzheimer's and her memories going up in smoke. It was a really good visual representation. I thought that was very nice. And Jack is thinking, he wishes that he could just burn the whole place down. This is where he is in his mind. He just wants to make it all go away. He would burn the place down if it would change anything. I think that moment really spoke to his mentality too. Nothing really matters, so I'm gonna lash out. And that's why he's drinking. That's why he got in the car. He decides to go for a drive in the middle of a terrible rainstorm, and he is almost coming off like a teenage boy who's lashing out in a way. I think he's just having this very visceral, and some might interpret as juvenile, reaction to learning this news. He's in the car, he's like cranking up the classical music. Do you remember when we saw a very similar scene with Devon when he was turning up his music and racing real fast in his car, and he gets in a wreck, and of course Jack gets in a wreck too. Anytime anybody gets in a car, you know that it's bad news on Y&R. But Jack, it's just, I was tickled by the fact that, you know, Jack is a racquetball playing, probably tennis playing, country club boy. So his version of acting out and getting in his car and being all drunk and driving real fast includes him turning up the Vivaldi or whatever it was, steps his foot on the gas, and we see him speed up, and a close-up shot of his face as the headlights are in his eyes, and we realize the next episode that he has gotten into an accident. Of course, he hit a tree. He's very lucky that he did not kill himself or kill someone else. What a terrible idea, Jack. I was very disappointed in him for not only putting himself at risk, but for putting others at risk by being behind the wheel of a car after he knows he's not in a suitable place to be driving, and then to come back to the cabin and not have interpreted that incident as a wake-up call. He stumbles back, bloody and bruised, and he should have been thinking, I have to get my life together. I have to get my life together. And I think he was on a level. He tried to reach out. He wanted to call someone for help. I think he knows that he did a very bad thing. He scrolls through his phone and he starts looking through his contacts, looking for who would even be the appropriate person to call. He thinks about calling Billy. He thinks about calling Kyle. He ends up making a phone call to Nikki, and he gets her on the line. And the problem is, as soon as he gets to her, she starts talking, saying, oh, Jack, where are you? Everybody's very worried about you. The family doesn't know where you are. And I think Jack realized that Nikki is just not a neutral party. I think that he, at this point in time, wants someone to validate his negative feelings, not try to lift him up, and not try to tell him that he's an abbot. I mean, these are all thoughts that, they're all the typical phrases that people would be saying to him. So I think that's why he ended up hanging up on Nikki and choosing not to reach out to her for help. It's very clear that Jack is just looking for something to dull the pain, anything to dull the pain. And if he's not able to reach out and find the right ways to do it, then he's gonna turn to the pain killers. He's gonna turn to the pills. He makes a phone call to his dealer. I could not even believe that. I mean, Jack is a recovering addict. I could not even believe that he decides to scroll through his phone and boom, the dealer's number is still in there. That says a lot. I think the fact that he kept that number in his phone over all of these years, that tells me that Jack has been struggling with going back to using for a lot longer than maybe we've been aware. If he was really, you know, if he was trying to get better, then that number should have been deleted from his phone. It almost comes off as he always kept it there as a just in case option, and on this day he decides to take it. He does successfully get his hands on a bottle of pills. He opens up the pill bottle, he pulls one of them out, he even goes so far as to put the pill up to his lips, and then at the very last moment he decides not to do it. He decides not to go through with it. There must be some willpower there. Maybe that's why he kept the phone number. Maybe keeping the phone number and not using it was him exerting some level of willpower over his addiction. But he ends up making the right choice to just call for help. Stop trying to self-medicate and get someone who's going to help you. I think that Neil was such a great person for Jack to reach out to. Neil was there at the movie premiere. He knows the stakes. He knows the situation without it having to be explained to him. Neil is also a longtime friend. He's a longtime colleague, and he is an alcoholic. I think Jack needed someone like Neil to really be able to connect with, to even just talk man to man, to maybe get some tough love. And in a lot of ways, as I was watching the scene of Neil showing up at the cabin and trying to coach Jack through this very difficult time, I thought Neil is giving Jack probably the kind of tough love that John would be giving to Jack. So it was a very appropriate conversation. I loved Jack's speech as he is trying to explain himself to Neil, saying he hasn't just lost his biology, he's lost his entire identity. If John Abbott was the center of Jack's universe and all of that's been taken away from him, then now he's just lost in space. He has nothing connecting him to anyone, to anything. He doesn't know who he is anymore. It was a very, very poignant moment, and I thought Neil did a really good job of trying to pull him back in, to trying to encourage him to do the right thing. But ultimately, Neil knows as a recovering addict that the person you're trying to help has to want the help, and they have to be willing to do the work themselves, and Jack is just not there yet. I think this storyline was also a really positive opportunity for Kristoff St John. We've seen him try to coach people about addiction since he came back a couple of weeks ago, and I almost wonder if Y&R was pushing Jack to this particular edge as a way to give Kristoff St John an opportunity to dig into a storyline like this. Most of us do know he lost a son who struggled with addiction, and I think it's not gone unnoticed by me as a fan that it's very gracious, I think, of Mel Young to write a story like this and in a way give Kristoff a way to work through his own feelings via his character. And his character, Neil, is able to help other characters on the show and also maybe even help some viewers who might be going through something similar too. No one in the family knows where Jack has run off to, so Abby decides that it would be a good idea if she goes and searches at the Abbott cabin for him. But there is a wicked rainstorm going on right now. It's headed right that way, wouldn't you know? And it's just too bad that she doesn't know someone with a strong, big, powerful truck with four-wheel drive to get her up to the Abbott cabin. Oh, Abby could use a good truck right now. Oh, hey, it's a good thing that Arturo always seems to be hanging around. I mean, is this guy ever at work? He's constantly at the coffee house, constantly bumping into Abby. He has just had his goodbye moment, which included a goodbye kiss with Nicky that Victoria got an eyeful of, by the way. But Nicky and Arturo are officially off. Then he's at the coffee house seeing how distraught Abby is about not being able to find Jack. So he offers to drive her up to the cabin, and it's just so rainy and so wet. We're gonna clearly have to just change out of these wet clothes and create a shirtless moment for Arturo and a flannel wearing cabin style moment for Abby. And then on top of it all, the storm is just so bad. We better stay right here until it passes. Maybe Jack won't even show up or whatever. Who cares? I did enjoy their flirting. I did enjoy hearing Abby and Arturo get to know each other. I mean, they're very different people. Abby is this rich, smart, beautiful, famous heiress. And Arturo is the everyman. He works with his hands. Oh, I bet he's so good with his hands. They're from completely different worlds, so it does work to see them interacting with one another. I just feel a little bit unsure about Arturo's motives, though. He admits to knowing a little more about Abby than just a stranger. He knows about her naked heiress history, and he brings it up to her, of course, because it creates some sexy moment, and he's seen her naked. It's kind of hard to unsee someone naked, but he says that the only reason he knows about the whole naked heiress thing is because his little sister is always keeping him up to date on the gossip. But that just makes me, it makes me nervous that he knew all about that. He denies looking her up online at all, because she asked him point blank, have you been searching for me online? And he says no, absolutely not. He only knows anything about her just from his sister. It's all about the sister. And she accepts that. She is clearly flattered. They had a couple of moments where they almost kissed, but they left the cabin not having found Jack or whatever. Who even cares about Jack at this point? Do they really care? No, it's completely an excuse just to be together. But they leave the cabin just on the cusp of this whole flirtmance, and the next morning Arturo is showing up on Abby's doorstep with coffee. And I just think to myself, that is either very sweet or very stalkerish. Although, I don't know, Nicky was coming off a little stalkerish too this week. Nicky comes by the Abbott house while Arturo is there bringing Abby the coffee. Nicky's there to let the Abbotts know that Jack did make a phone call to her, but what she saw was her ex-boyfriend sitting there once again with her stepdaughter, and Nicky was not very shy about getting all up in their business. She was asking them pointed questions about what's going on here, what's with their relationship, and she even said in front of Abby to Arturo, I hope that you're not taking advantage of her. I mean, Nicky knows Arturo better than anyone in town. What is it that's making her think that he might be taking advantage of Abby? Does Nicky know something more than she's letting on? She's had a lot of private conversations with him, pillow talk. So I don't know. She corners him outside where Abby cannot hear, and she's letting him know that she is clearly not comfortable with Arturo dating her stepdaughter. So the thing is, how I interpret this all depends on whether or not Arturo is legit. If Arturo is legit, then I was a little bit proud of him for standing up for himself when Nicky was getting up in his business. He was saying to her, look, our arrangement has changed. Maybe it's better if we just don't talk about my personal life. We have a business arrangement now, and that is all. Besides, Abby is not really my type anyway. You're my type. Okay, that's where I got really thrown off, and I thought, maybe Arturo is not legit. That vibe made me question him, because here he is telling Nicky that Abby is not his type. But then he's sweet talking to Abby about what a fascinating woman she is. Maybe Arturo is just trying to make things a little easier on Nicky, or maybe he's trying to make things a little easier on the business that he still has to conduct with her. But something about that came off as two-faced to me. I don't know if you guys are interpreting it that way. So I'm tossing that out as our poll question for the week. Do you think that Arturo is a good guy? Because by all accounts, he's coming off as a good guy. Or do you think that Arturo has future creep written all over him? YRChat.com. Let's get some predictions going around Arturo and how you are seeing his character, good guy or future creep. I don't know. I might have to vote future creep, because the fact that he's even interested in Abby at all makes him suspicious to me, given her history with men. While Jack goes off on a booze-filled bender, Ashley nominates Billy to be the new CEO of Jabot. Hey, somebody's got to run the company here. And Tracy apparently has refused the position. She's the only other known blood Abbott. I wish Tracy hadn't refused. Why? Why does she refuse to get involved in anything at Jabot other than board votes here or there? I really think Tracy could be valuable. I'd love to even if she would have said, I don't want to be CEO, but I will jump in and do this or that. I know she's got her own life. I mean, I gotta respect that. She doesn't want to be a business shark, so I'm just gonna try to learn to respect it. But it's clear that Billy really doesn't want to do it either. He's floored by the nomination. I don't know why he didn't see that coming. And he wants out of, if he has to take the chair, he wants to jump out of it as soon as possible. His entire plan as CEO is to try to get that blood Abbott clause removed as quickly as possible, so we can just get back into the normal Jabot world with Jack running the company. He wants Jack back in that seat. He is so clearly uncomfortable with the idea of leadership, which is odd considering he was co-CEO with Kane at Chancellor Industries and seemed to really love the position and do well there. But he's got a little bit of a confidence issue when it comes to anything, or when it comes to running the family company. But Phyllis is right there to encourage him like a good first lady. When Ashley nominated Billy, and he was standing there not really sure if he should be doing this, Phyllis busts up in that conversation. She is his #1 fan, championing him to the board, and then she just sort of stands there next to him as he accepts the nomination. Like, they just stood there as if they were Mr. and Mrs. Jabot. They should be on a poster or something for the company. Oh, Phyllis is going to, I'm sure, be integral in making sure that Billy is relaxed enough to do the job. I predict sexy scenes in that chair in the near future. She's reassuring him that he can be the leader, that he can take Jabot to the next level. All he has to do is relax and just let it come. I loved that. He's sitting there in the chair, all stressed out, and she just spins him around and she says, just, I'm gonna help you. Just close your eyes and just pretend that we are on a private island somewhere, having drinks, having a good time. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling good? It was almost the exact same thing that she did with Jack earlier in the week. I think it was on Monday, where she was sitting next to Jack, coaching him into opening up the test results. She was sitting there telling Jack to close his eyes, and she was holding his hands and saying, just imagine that they're not my hands. Imagine that you're holding your father's hands, that you're holding John's hands. What would he be saying to you? What is it, Phyllis, with the eyes closing? Closing these men's eyes and taking them to another place. Like, what is she, the Abbott whisperer? Oh, Kyle feels bad for detonating this truth bomb, but not bad enough. He realizes that he has brought on all of this pain for his family. Whether he meant to or not, Kyle is responsible for all of this. He's responsible for this information getting out that Abby and Ashley never wanted to get out. Kyle is the one who did this. He is responsible, and he confronted Victor about editing that footage, but Victor denies it. And Kyle seems to buy it. Please, please. Unless there's another twist around the corner, Victor did it. Kyle should be through with Victor, and yet he's continuing to try to please him. Oh, please, please, Victor, please give me more crumbs of affection. Please give me a job at Newman Enterprises. Kyle's nothing more than a puppet, and what more is it going to take for him to realize that? So now on top of it all, since Kyle's still trying to please Victor, he's feeding Victor information about the turmoil at Jabot. Kyle's the one who is letting Victor know that Billy is going to be taking over as the CEO well before that information has gone public. And then Kyle's just turning around and banging the Abbott family drum to the family's face. He's all about togetherness, all about support, and he's giving the hangdog look. How much do you want to bet that Kyle has just messed up again by giving Victor that information about Billy taking over the CEO position? How much do you want to bet that Victor already has a plan in place to try to make Jabot look like they are a sinking ship to the public eye before the Abbotts get a chance to really get in front of it and spin it into something positive? And then who do you think is going to be stuck in the middle of all of that mess? It's going to be Abby and Ashley. Victor loves making people prove their loyalty. I can just see him next week doing all this and then putting Abby and Ashley right in the middle. Do you want to keep your job at Newman, or do you want to save Jabot? Go ahead, choose a side. At the tail end of last week's Y&R, JT's cell phone was on the move. We got pinged that JT's cell phone had been turned on, and Nick and Phyllis were rushing to find out where it is. Nick, of course, thinks that this could be JT. Phyllis, of course, knows that he's 6 feet under, but it turned out to be nothing. It was a homeless guy who picked up the phone out of the airport trash, turned it on, and then boom, perfect phone. Perfectly working, undestroyed phone. Still has service, everything. Yeah, not good. That didn't turn out to be the big bomb that I was expecting it to be, but it did lead to something else. Nick and Phyllis go to confront this poor homeless man, just wants a cell phone, and the police are right on Nick and Phyllis's tail. They're trying to track this cell phone too, and the police sees the cell phone. They're doing their job. Nick is just an amateur listening to the police scanner app that he has. So the police take the phone, give it over to Paul, and the interesting twist here is that now Paul is reading all of the text messages that went back and forth between JT and Victoria, which Victoria originally said she deleted. Oh, ooh, I don't know anything about him. But here they are in black and white, so to speak. Paul can see that Victoria is lying. She's been saying she had very little contact with JT, and now here, you know, on the night the night in question, and now it's obvious that she knows more than she's telling him. Realizing that she has to now tell Paul something just to come up with something, Victoria decides to throw him a bone. Says that she saw JT that night, and in a very apologetic way says that she actually helped JT escape. She just wanted to be done with him, so she gave him a bunch of cash and helped him get away. This, of course, is much preferred than the actual truth of what happened that night. Paul takes the information, agrees to not press charges against Victoria, but he also doesn't fully buy the story. He's on his cell phone with Christine a little bit later saying that he believes Victoria is just becoming quite skilled at lying, and that he's not going to stop in his search for finding the truth about JT. Okay, so what's our, as viewers, desired resolution here? What's going on? We need to really dig into this, because I'm not sure what is even going to be a preferred outcome here. I don't want to see Victoria or anyone else go to jail. I personally feel that I've been through the ringer with Victoria. I think that she's been tortured enough. Did you see, by the way, how nice she was with Abby and Ashley at Newman Enterprises when she came back to the office this week? She was very complimentary of them. She was very accepting of their ideas. All of the things that she wasn't before this whole mess with JT went down, she suddenly was. It feels to me that Victoria has gone to hell and back, and now she's better for it. So what's the point of continuing to watch her squirm? I'm over it. I'm ready for this to be done. But it's not, and I don't know where it's going. Do you think that Paul is eventually going to discover the truth? Do you think that anybody is ever gonna discover JT's body? Or is all of this just going to slowly fade into the background? I fell in love with Nick and Sharon around 1994 when I was 14 years old, and I am falling in love with Nick and Sharon all over again all of these years later. I just feel like Nick and Sharon have that spark. They have that it factor. They have that chemistry, whatever it is you want to call it, that makes me smile when I see them on screen. They have it. So thank you, Mal Young. Thank you for reuniting my Nick and Sharon again this week after all of this time has gone by. And I think that the majority of you guys are feeling the same way that I have been feeling. Last week I asked you in a poll question how you like your Nick and Sharon, and the majority of you said that you like seeing them as a complete couple. 52%. 23% said they liked friends with benefits, Sharon and Nick. 19% said just friends, and a small sliver, 6%, said I want to see these two as far away from each other as possible. Well, I like them as a complete couple. I am so excited to see them as a complete couple, and I have appreciated the journey this week as well. Nikki thought she was gonna be tricky, and Nikki tried to hook Nick up with an organic pet food heiress at this New Hope charity dinner thing that she was hosting. Well, mission failed. Sharon, the entire night, was looking over at this heiress who was fawning over Nick because, of course, she wants him. He's highly desirable. She's making goo-goo eyes at Nick all night, and Sharon's just kind of, she's looking across the room, just, you know, she doesn't want to seem jealous, but that's her man. Meanwhile, the guy who came along with the cat food heiress is trying to put his arm around Sharon, get to know Sharon, offering her a ride in his private jet, and Nick's looking at that guy like, I don't really like him doing that. That's my woman. And it just made them both realize how much they don't want to be with other people. They want to be with each other. I just think, you know, when it comes to these two, there can be no in-between. It really is all or nothing with Nick and Sharon. No friends with benefits will do. It's all or nothing. Happily, gloriously, ever after. Or until Nick finds out the whole truth about JT and the fact that Sharon's been lying about it, and then he just turns around and dumps her, which I hope is not what happens. I just want this to be real. Please, Y&R. I think that my dream scenario for Nick and Sharon would be for the whole, I don't want to have this lie between them about JT. There's always some lie between them. Always, always, always. But I want to see Nick and Sharon go back to running the coffee house together. How great would that be? Just see them hanging out and being the cool couple on the show that can demonstrate how relationships, even in fantasy and fiction, can work out and still be interesting to watch. You know, kind of like we've been asking for from Nicky and Victor for years. What an odd path back together it's been for Hilary and Devon. These two are just locked into each other's orbit. There is a gravitational pull in effect here. And there's so many instances of it this week. Hilary and Devon sitting in Devon's office, and Devon just turning on that music and just listening and grooving, and then her looking at him dancing and thinking, yeah, he looks real good, and then him looking at her, tapping her foot, thinking, oh, she's pretty good looking. It was sexy. I think that was a really nice way to demonstrate the chemistry, that it's just something in the air, and it was represented visually with the beat of the music. I thought that right there was equally as hot as some of the lovemaking scenes that we have seen on the show, and that's a really good, I mean, I just think that's a representation of what these two have together. And then the fact that Devon asked Hilary to be his date for the charity dinner, and when that wasn't enough, he asked her to go out clubbing with him afterwards. It was very, very cute and very, very sweet that Devon is already designing a nursery for their baby who they don't even know if they've conceived yet. I am probably not supposed to want these two together after all of the water that has raged under this bridge. I know that, but I still do. It's like Nick and Sharon in the way that these two just have a spark for me. So you can enjoy it or not enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy every bit of this slow burn that Y&R is giving me right now, because if Devon and Hilary do end up having a baby, the focus of their lives and of their character is going to change. It will become all about the baby. So I want to enjoy my romantic moments while I can get them, because let me tell you, there is nothing romantic about diapers. I love crushing people's dreams. What a horrible but funny thing to say. It was Tessa who said that line last week. It was during the modeling scene. Lily was hosting the chemistry test for her models, and Abby was there as well, and they sent Tessa out into the hallway to grab one of the models, and I think knowing that it wasn't going to work out, Tessa said, "Sure, I'll go get a model. I love crushing people's dreams." It was a funny moment, but only 4 of you caught it. So, major congratulations go out to Anna, Ambreen, Henry, and Tanya. You guys all got it right. Here's our quote for this week. "Way to stroke my male ego." Who said it? Way to stroke my male ego. You've got a 50-50 chance on any of the characters. It's at least narrowed down to being a male character who's getting his ego stroked. So if you think you know who said that line, you can go to yrchat.com to leave me your guess. And if you get it right, your shout out will be on next week's Y&R Chat. Cheyenne says, Hilary and Devon had some cute moments this week. Michelle Morgan Hilary looked so lovely in that bluish dress. Devon was so adorable when asking Hilary out on a date. I need them to kiss and admit their feelings for each other already. First of all, Cheyenne, why does Hilary look so good in everything? I don't know. It's a mystery to me. And the way her lipstick always looks so good. They always seem to have her, or at least lately, in a very bright, perfect shade of red. It's hypnotic. But yes, she did look gorgeous. And like you, I was loving the cute moments between them this week. Tina Cole said, love the dance scene between Hilary and Devon. They were just teasing us for a kiss. And who initiated that dance sequence? Mr. Devon Hamilton. You know you can only resist Hilary for so long. How about when he dipped her over too? And it was just so fun. I'm okay to wait on the kisses though for at least another week. Like, let's slow burn it. Lisa says, I think Devon is attracted to women that will bring him drama. He's kind of dry and Hilary excites him. I agree, Lisa. I think that Devon he's a nice guy character, very similar to Nick, maybe a little dry. Like, I've always felt that Nick's maybe not the brightest bulb in the box, and Devon is not the most exciting bulb in the box. And so they need women who are going to bring them a little bit of something exciting in order to keep them exciting in their lives exciting. Gary mentions that there's no confirmation that Hilary's pregnant, right? They're acting as if she's just, it's literally just a foregone conclusion that she's pregnant. So I'm wondering, Gary says, if the story is likely that she will be unable to conceive. I don't know what else they could be doing. Do you think so? Do you think all of this is Hilary and Devon putting their cart before the horse a little bit? Are we going to find out that they're not able to conceive? I hope that's not the case, but you do make a good point that it's almost such a foregone conclusion that it can't be. Ooh, Gary was also watching the royal wedding, by the way, and told me something I didn't know, that Meghan Markle, the bride, was on General Hospital. Gary says, she's one of us. I had no idea. I've been passively interested in the royal wedding, I will admit. I've listened to it here and there on the news. I've heard this and that about it. And it is interesting, I think, probably because it's kind of like a real life soap opera. I find it compelling in that way. And in a way, our super couples on Y&R are like royal couples. So let's talk next about my favorite Y&R royal couple, Nick and Sharon. Last week's poll question was, how do you like your Nick and Sharon? Laura says, I like my Sharon strong and I like my Nick shirtless. Oh, that's probably my favorite comment of the week. You nailed it. Nailed it, Laura. Claudio says, I want them to be friends with benefits for now, but after they deal with the JT ordeal, I want them to work things out and become a full-on couple again. I think Sharon has changed, and we've seen her grow up a lot this past year and a half, and I think that they can finally handle being a real couple again. Fans have waited long enough for a full chic reunion. Two things I wanted to mention about that. First of all, I also wish that the JT ordeal were not in the mix as they are entering into a new relationship. That seems a little bit like doom, and I hope that's not going to become a problem for the reunion that I'm looking forward to also. But you also mentioned, Claudio, that we have seen Sharon change a lot since the last time they were together. It's a very real change too. This isn't the same Sharon that we had a couple of years ago or even the last time they were together. Sharon is strong, she is secure, she has a life of her own, and I think that was one of the problems Nick and Sharon always faced, that Sharon didn't really have a life of her own. She was always just concerned about Nick, losing Nick. Like, it was almost as if Sharon was insecure for a lot of their relationship, and probably because Nick was always cheating on her. But you make a good point that it's a different Sharon specifically, so I think it could be interesting to see whatever the new version we get of Nick and Sharon will be. Leslie says, I saw Olivia Allen Lind, I hope I got her name right, the actress who plays Faith, in the new movie remake of Overboard. So I guess that explains her extended absence. I did read at one point, Leslie, that that actress was going to be in that remake of Overboard. I love the original movie. Have you guys seen the original Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell? It was one of my favorite movies growing up. I think because I was an HBO cable kid, there was just some certain movies that they would play over a million times. So I'm pretty sure I had that on VHS too, so that I could watch it whenever I wanted it. It was really, really cute, and I will have to see if I can at least get some clips from the remake of Overboard. Good call. Oh, Ellen, this is a good point. Ellen says, so Phyllis is a high-level tech expert. And she threw away JT's cell phone without removing the battery and memory card and then thoroughly stomping on it with her stiletto. Please. First of all, do you guys remember the days when Phyllis actually was a high-level tech expert? When she was first coming onto the show, I think she was a computer genius. She's gone through phases of being the show's computer genius. We always have to have just one. There's always one tech expert, and Phyllis was it for a long time, but we haven't really seen her display that genius in a long time, as evidenced by the fact that all she did was toss the complete phone in the garbage. Phyllis was the one who was treating everybody else like they were making bonehead moves throughout this plan. This was Phyllis's plan, and then she just takes the complete phone and just lays it perfectly and gingerly on top of the airport garbage. Ugh, Phyllis. And notice nobody reamed her about it like she would have done to them if they would have made that mistake. Here's a good comment from Daisy. Daisy says, I don't see why Victoria, or anyone for that matter, has to explain anything to Nick. Nick is not law enforcement. He's only interfering. Moreover, he's not listening to his sister. I'll pause there, Daisy, because that is a really good point, that Victoria has repeatedly asked Nick to just butt out. You're just making this harder on me. I've been through enough, and what you're doing is kicking up dirt. She's asked him to back off, and he's still pursuing it despite her wishes. Daisy also says, I'm surprised it's not been discovered that Paul and Christine put JT up to spying on and stealing from Victor. I still want to see them prosecuted for what they did. Had they not hired JT to illegally search and seize the property from Victor, it's likely that Victor would not have been hurt and perhaps JT not killed. They created this situation solely because of their vendetta against Victor, which is not anything legal that I know about. I don't like them getting away with setting up the cards that knocked JT down, and I hope by next week that they are discovered. Paul and Christine have gotten away relatively scot-free, haven't they, Daisy? I mean, I don't know. Is it illegal to plant JT and what they were doing with JT and putting him on that spy mission illegal? That's a good question, because that makes me wonder if there's any chance that what you're suggesting, Paul and Christine getting caught, could be a way out of this storyline. Like maybe it could be discovered or implied that what they did was illegal, and maybe that could make them stop investigating, or else they could lose their jobs. I mean, they hired JT to do this ill-fated spy job that ended up in JT's death, and of course they don't know that yet, but it ended up in Victor at least almost dying. Certainly possible. Oh, Superplex was weighing in about Arturo midweek, saying Arturo sounds like a stalker, very much on the creepazoid level. I agree, Superplex. I think something's gonna be up with him. And isn't it sad, considering Abby's history with men? We all have said we were looking to have Abby in a stable relationship, and it does feel like there are little signs there that maybe Arturo's not going to be that. She's also getting Nikki's used goods, which is weird. I don't know, maybe you guys, maybe the rest of you, maybe it's me and Superplex, but I'm wondering if we're the only ones thinking something could be up with Arturo. So let's get some votes in our poll question for this week, and also some conversation going on about that man. We saw in the previews of next week's Y&R that Abby is going to be working with Arturo to get fitted for a suit or something, so there's going to be more cute moments with those two next week, so we'll have to continue to get out our microscopes and really see if we can get a sense of what's going on with him. Ellen says, Kyle, really? Are you that green? Repeat after me. You will get nothing from me until I start getting a very generous weekly paycheck from you, Mr. Mustache. Stop giving Victor everything and getting absolutely nothing in return. Sheesh. What a rookie. Up your villain game, Kyle. No kidding. No kidding. Mary Ann says there's an interesting Peter Bergman interview on soaps.com and TVinsider.com about the Abbott paternity storyline, and Peter Bergman is very complimentary of the actor who plays Kyle. I think he's a good actor too, honestly. I mean, I'm sure that Peter is commenting from a standpoint of working with him, but I really like him. I mean, I don't like the character, but I like the actor. Gina made a funny point, saying on Monday, Victor made that comment about what a great job Nicky did as CEO while he was away, when we didn't see one scene of her doing it. Right, Gina? We didn't see any Nicky sitting behind the desk. All we saw was the big revelation that she was going to be taking over the company while Victor was ill or in the hospital, and then nothing. That was a missed opportunity, I think. Also, Gina is finding Jack's paternity storyline to be a little bit disappointing because John Abbott was such a great character, and in a way, Gina says, it feels like they're making Jack not his son after all these years is a bit disrespectful to the character of John. I feel that way too. I didn't want to say it, but at first, but now that you've said it, it does feel that Y&R's putting all this time and effort into talking about what a great guy John was, and it is backtracking a little bit to undo all of the everything that we've had to deal with the history of Jack and the history of John and Dina. I mean, it just feels like backtracking a little bit, and like it is kind of rewriting some of the history of a character who's gone, so can't really come back and participate in the story. Yeah. I would have preferred not this DNA test result. Diana says, what did Dina mean when she said that John couldn't give her everything that she needed? Right after that, she said that Jack was the consequence and that he wasn't John's son. Did she mean that John couldn't have kids? I never understood this comment as it was never explained. Well, Dina did say that well, we've seen that footage several times of Dina saying that John couldn't give her everything that she needed. I guess I interpreted that as Dina meaning that John couldn't give her everything she needed sexually. Or that she was yearning for something more, because this is a woman who abandoned her family to go on and live this luxurious, lavish life in Paris. So in a way, I almost interpreted it as John representing this anchor and this family man and just being stable, whereas Dina wanted more by like traveling and being up and getting to know new men and experiencing. Maybe John just only liked one position. And it's apparently not the baby making position. Maybe Dina wanted to try something new. Isn't it odd thinking about, especially because she's older now, it's odd imagining it. I'll just choose to move on. Erin says, I'm still confused about the DNA test. To test Jack, wouldn't you need John's DNA? I agree, Erin. The only thing that this test proves is that Jack is not related to Billy and he's not related to Tracy. Of course, there are a lot of assumptions going into both of those tests. But as far as Jabot goes, I think Neil had the right idea. Just get rid of the whole stupid blood Abbott clause thing and move on with your life. I'm hoping that the DNA test is undone, though. And I think it could be done if they choose to. I hope they do. Consuela says, I can't believe that Jack walked away from that car wreck with just some blood and bruises on his face. I was expecting that we were going to see him in a coma for a couple weeks with all the Abbotts coming together and crying by his bedside. They did get over that real quick, didn't they, Consuela? I thought he was going to hit another person. I assumed this was going to be an instance where he crashed with somebody else who's on the canvas, or who knows, he could have hit a child on the side of the road, for crying out loud. It was surprising that the very next episode all he did was hit a tree. Yeah. Laura says, seeing how weak and self-pitying Jack is makes me like resilient Hilary much more. She would say, it doesn't matter who my biological dad is, I'm made of my own grit and bravery. Also, by the way, Laura mentions that if Kyle didn't edit the film and Victor didn't edit the film, then was it Ashley? I keep assuming that Victor's lying about editing the film, but it's always possible that somebody else snuck in there. It does seem a little bit obvious that it would be Victor, but then I keep going back to the smug look he had on his face. He didn't look surprised in the same way that everybody else did. So I think it was him and he's lying. Sarita was commenting on the preview of next week's Y&R that there's another interview that we haven't seen with Dina, and she's saying that she's ready to tell everyone who Jack's father is. So Sarita's saying, who do you think is going to be Jack's father? And is there any way it could be Victor? Oh, man. This means nothing in Soap World, but I did, after hearing your message, Sarita, do a strict looky look at the numbers, because and I could see Y&R trying to do this crappy twist that maybe Victor's Jack's father, and I'm gonna hate it. So my first thought was, okay, is that even biologically possible? So here's the age stats we got here. Marla Adams is 79 years old. The actress who plays Dina, 79 years old. Eric Braeden, who plays Victor, 77. So they're pretty close in age. There's only 2 years difference. Peter Bergman is 64. So, I mean, it's possible. Y&R stretches ages. They've got at least a 5-10 year buffer probably with anyone. I mean, it's possible. But I would hate it. I would hate it. I'm going to wrap up here giving a special shout out to Jamie and Isabel this week. They were having some dramatic Genoa City personal moments, and Jamie was calling in just to say how nice she was, how nice it is to be able to like go through dramatic and crappy things in life and to be able to connect to Y&R. Like Y&R is something that you can go to even when you're in the middle of a storm and it feels a little bit like home. Anything that's going on in your day and in your life, you're able to just snuggle down and watch your show, and I just feel that completely, Jamie. I mean, it's just, there have been so many points in my own life where things are going on and I just feel really bad, even if it's just a bad day, and I look forward to escaping into my Y&R, and I feel very good also that Y&R Chat is a nice community where we can all sort of connect in. It's like we're connecting individually with our Y&R, and then we're connecting in with each other, and that's very cool to me, and that's why I do this every week. Next Saturday is the Y&R Chat 10-year anniversary. So 10 years ago, May 26th, 2008 was when I started doing Y&R Chat, which is shocking to me, absolutely shocking to me. And of course I didn't have all of this incredible forethought that went into it, like I want to create a community. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just talking about Y&R. It was very base level. I just wanted to talk about Y&R with other people who were watching, but it's crazy to think about how much it's grown, how much I've grown, and I just am really appreciative that it's gone in the direction that it has gone. I think it's a very positive place, and that's why I try to keep things positive too, because it's like it's a touchstone for a lot of people. It's a touchstone for me, and it drives me extra crazy to have to listen to people saying that they don't like the show, or all of the negative fans, because that's everywhere. Any other Y&R fan site, you are going to find a lot of negativity, and I just filter it out because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to connect with other people who love Y&R, and I think that I've done that, and so that makes me feel very accomplished thinking now about the 10-year anniversary of Y&R Chat. I think also my hair is a lot better than it used to be. On that note, if there is anything you guys want to ask me about Y&R Chat for the 10-year anniversary, anything you're curious about, like how I do Y&R Chat, what my process is. I mean, if you have anything you want to know, go to yrchat.com. You can leave questions there about Y&R Chat. You can call into the voicemail 309-588-4569. Leave some Y&R Chat anniversary messages. I'd love to hear your voices. Or you could just, go to the website and leave comments there about the regular show and what you're thinking about the storylines. I may sit down and do a Chatterversary thing. I don't know. I gotta decide. I've had it in my mind for a while now that I'm gonna be approaching 10 years, and it seems like I should do something, but I don't exactly know what. I'm not sure. Maybe taking questions from you would be something good. We'll just see. Time is a little more scarce than it used to be. But I certainly do appreciate having this as a space where I can talk about my show. I mean, we talk about so much. It's not even, it's like, it is the storylines, but we get kind of deep on a lot of things and the feelings that go into them, and we learn things, and I don't know. I'm into it. I still like doing Y&R Chat even after all this time. It's part of my my routine, and a lot of times I'm watching the show thinking, oh, I can't wait to see that or to say that. That's what I would really miss that. I remember thinking when I started Y&R Chat that it would just be nice to have a place to put my zingers. Okay, well, I'm gonna say sayonara for now, but again, yrchat.com is the website. 309-588-4569 is the voicemail. Your feedback is what has like boosted this whole thing to the next level, so please don't be shy. I love hearing from you. Okay, everybody have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.